The 2024 Copa America will take place in the United States, with Canada, the United States, and Mexico all featuring, as well as 3 other CONCACAF nations. This is huge news for CONCACAF. I'm really excited to break it down with you, and to do that, we brought Filippo on the channel. He will give you the American point of view because they are hosting the tournament, as well as the South American point of view because, he's Brazilian. So hopefully you guys are excited. If you are, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into the episode now. Now it's time to give a shout out to the legends over at OneFootball, who are the sponsors for all the World Cup content on the channel. OneFootball will absolutely keep you up to date during the World Cup as you head to the app, search for your favorite national teams like Canada or Germany. Now go give them a follow and watch your homepage get populated with stories that you will care about as they happen. You can also track matches live in the app, check out starting 11s, watch videos from behind the scenes, as well as interviews, highlights, and so much more, including the ability to watch full matches directly in the app from around the world. It's truly an incredible app to help you stay up to date with everything going on in the beautiful game. I personally use OneFootball every day to track Canadians playing abroad, and I highly recommend it for all of you watching. So click on the link in the description to download the OneFootball app. It helps creators like myself. Thank you all so much, everyone. Now let's get into the episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so you probably heard the exciting news surrounding CONCACAF and the Copa America for 2024, but there's a lot of juicy rumors going on right now that Canada, Mexico, the United States, and potentially some other nations could join up in the 2024 Copa America and become a 16-team tournament. So there's still like a lot of that's going on up in the air right now, but I brought Tact from Tactical Manager TV to come on the channel to kind of break it down, looking at it from a CONCACAF perspective as well as a South American perspective, because as you know, he's Brazilian. But first things first, Filippo, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, and I think it's a great time to be a CONCACAF soccer fan right now with everything that's happening, at least the next 4 years. And that is one of the main reasons, the Copa America.
Yep, absolutely. The Copa America is such a fun tournament, and just a little history lesson for you guys who may not know, and Tac can, jump in if he wants to add anything. But the Copa America obviously has the 10 South American teams, and ever since 1993, with the exception of 1 year, it's been those 10 teams, and then they invite 2 guests. So we've seen Qatar, Japan, Mexico feature in the past, and then there was the Centenario, which was, a massive hit. It was a really fun tournament. Unfortunately, Canada back then didn't even feature in the tournament, but it had those 10 South American teams.
Same with Brazil.
Pardon?
Same with Brazil.
Yeah, well, they were there. They just,
Brazil sent like a C or D team and lost in the group. They didn't care enough about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I remember Hill was one of the center backs in that team, and a young Allison Becker. But they definitely didn't care about it.
Gabigol
was there. He was there. Coutinho, remember he scored 4 goals against Haiti. But there were 6 CONCACAF nations that there was a bit of an invitees, and then there was some qualifying to get there. But it rounded out a nice 16-team tournament, and obviously the reason usual Copa Americas with the 12 teams invite 2 guests is to have a nicely balanced tournament. They have the 3 groups of 4 teams. The top 2 make it, as well as the top 2 other third place teams to get to the quarters. But the Centenario was beautiful because, a 16-team tournament is a great tournament to have. And it also gives the opportunity for CONCACAF nations to come in and basically have the opportunity to play at elite level. So, Tac, give me your initial reactions, because the Copa America was originally supposed to be hosted in Ecuador, and it was going to be a 12-team tournament with the U.S. and Canada filling it out. Now it looks like it's going to be hosted in the U.S. and potentially turning it into that 16-team tournament.
Yeah, I think it's only benefits all parties, right? I don't personally think it should always be in the United States. I'm okay with this one being the United States because the World Cup will happen here right after in Canada and Mexico too. So I don't mind it too much. And I could see them pushing it more often to have it in the United States because of money, right? You make more money. You sell out stadiums in dollars and people pay more. So sure, and the infrastructure, everything's ready. But in the future, I would like for this tournament to continue and happen in South. I would want the Copa America to always be 16 nations, 6 from CONCACAF, all 10 from CONMEBOL. I think that'll help both regions. It'll bring more money to CONMEBOL. It also make it more competitive because Mexico, Canada, and the United States, at least those 3, they are better than the bottom teams in CONMEBOL, in my opinion. So it brings a more competitiveness aspect to that. And I've said this before, I don't think there's any confederation that comes to the competitive level of UEFA nowadays. None of them. If you go even to CONMEBOL, it's not as competitive as UEFA. You don't have as many good teams, right? You have 2 title contenders always, Brazil and Argentina, and then teams that can cause damage in the World Cup. Uruguay, now Ecuador was a problem too. But I think if CONMEBOL and CONCACAF not merge but work together, right? Work together, and Copa America is a start. There's other ways they can work together, which we're not going to talk about today probably, but
Yeah.
this is like a start. If they can work together, I think over time you can see these two confederations not really compete with UEFA, but elevate their level to a point where there's more than just two title contenders, where there's maybe 4 to 5 teams at like a Europe tier 2 level, which is like a Denmark, right? At that well, even though they sucked in the World Cup, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get what
Like
I'm
it.
saying,
Yeah.
right? I think this is needed. These two confederations need to work together more often, and they will only benefit from it. The problem is obviously there's like politics, corruption, and that usually makes it a little bit more difficult. That's why we didn't have another one. But a Copa America every 4 years with 16 nations, it will benefit both regions tremendously.
Right. And yeah, it's who wanted the bigger piece of the pie was the reason that hasn't happened again. But there's so many benefits. I'm going to get over to TAC again. We're going to try to see if there's any negatives. I don't know if there are, but there are so many benefits for CONCACAF doing this tournament. And if you don't believe me, coming from a Canadian perspective, this World Cup, I mean, kind of fell a little flat on our face. A lot of excited Canadians. Tax here with a big smile on his face, but Canada didn't do.
I mean, we fell on our faces too. So
yeah, and we have another video actually coming up touching on that. But unfortunately for Canada, like they had an exciting game and then they had basically two stinkers. The last time Canada, before the September international window, the last time Canada played a nation outside of CONCACAF was January of 2020, and they played Iceland. Imagine now having the opportunity to play in Gold Cups and Nations League, which is great. Hopefully, I mean, lining up better friendlies, but knowing that there's a Copa America, a competitive fixture, we have the chance to play Argentina, Brazil. I mean, obviously, Mexico, the U.S. is great in a competitive environment as well. Uruguay, I think, is a game changer. And I think it could also help elevate just the interest as well, because now a lot of these Canadians, again, speaking from my perspective, that got into it right now leading up to the World Cup, they're going to kind of crash back down to earth. Now it's Gold Cups, which I mean, the diehards will really like. But I think if you're just a new Canadian fan getting into this, having the opportunity to see Canada in a Copa America is really intriguing. And I'm all for it. I would love to see it happen. The Centenario was such a fun tournament. The U.S. did pretty well at it. They made it to the semifinals before. I think they got.
It was 4-0 Argentina. Messi Messi had a goal, but I think Higuain had a brace that game. Yeah,
Higuain. Yeah,
Higuain was still playing. Yeah,
that's a tough one. But yeah, I mean, for me, TACT is the biggest positive to come out of this is just simply the fact that if CONCACAF wants to take that next step, and especially at a World Cup, knowing that the next World Cup's on home soil, is it being in a tournament like this and getting the opportunity to play competitive fixtures, because there is a big difference between playing Argentina and Brazil or England, France in a friendly versus potentially playing them in a competitive environment in a tournament like that. It's just going to do well for these teams to hopefully grow and get ready for that 2026 World Cup.
Yeah. Also, add to a fact, you talked about the competitive aspect of it that helps the team itself to prepare for a World Cup. We're playing teams that are, because we don't play title contenders, World Cup title contenders in CONCACAF, but you get the opportunity to play Brazil and Argentina. There you go. You get a little bit of that experience, right? But like you talked about, it helps grow the sport in the country too, because what is easier to get someone hyped? And no offense to the nations I'm about to list, right? But US or Canada facing El Salvador or Honduras, or US and Canada facing Brazil, Argentina, right? These countries that when you go to like casual soccer fans, they're like, these are charming countries when it comes to football or soccer, right? For us American Canadians. So that there's that aspect to it too. It'll drive more eyeballs to it. More people are going to want to see, oh, wait a second. Canada's playing Brazil? Canada's playing Argentina? Who knows? 2024 might be Messi's last international tournament. I know many are talking about how the World Cup is, but I wouldn't be surprised if he played the Copa America as like a farewell tour, just like goodbye Argentina. He's going to be in MLS by then or joining MLS. So I can totally see it being Messi's last international tournament after the World Cup. So I think this edition is special, but it can't stop on this one though. They have to continue to work together. So it has to be a long-term project, because having these random Copa Americas, we had the 2016 one in the United States, which was amazing. The final was packed in New York at MetLife Stadium. If anyone doesn't remember that, that was one of the Copa Americas that Messi lost to Chile, right? Remember he lost 2 in a row?
Back to back,
Yeah, that was one of them. For anyone that doesn't remember what the Centenario was, it was one of those. If I'm not mistaken, was that the one he missed the PK in the final?
Yep. That one was the shoot. That was the shootout, or they were both shootouts. But yeah, that was one I think.
But he didn't miss on one. He missed on one, and the other one I think he didn't miss it. But
that one was the one he missed because he was the player of the tournament by far, and it came down to him, and they already lost to Chile. And I think he was a first taker, and he skied it. So yeah, that was definitely
so it was that one. So for anyone that doesn't remember, that was one of those finals. They were great tournaments. I guess the only thing that really went missing on that one was Brazil carrying. Right?
Yeah.
But Brazil now lost the last Copa America in Brazil in 2021. There's a gap of 3 years between this one and 2024. After that, you're only going to have another Copa America in 2028, maybe 2027. So I think every single nation there will care. If it's Messi's last tournament for Argentina, they will care. Uruguay always cares. So I think it can be a very fun tournament. And I mean, US, Canada, Mexico, they have to care. It's the biggest tournament they're going to play besides the World Cup. It's much bigger than the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup has an importance in terms of like showing your dominance in the region. But again, like CONCACAF is just like everyone arguing who's the tallest Smurf at this point. You have to go to the other level, and that's what the Copa America is. And I think it's going to be a blast, this event. And if it's confirmed to be in the United States, we're going to have US, Mexico, and Canada. And I don't even know if you had this on topic, but which would be the other three CONCACAF nations? Or was it a topic?
No, that literally I was about to ask you. I was like, I was going to ask you first, do you think that the next three are specifically going to be CONCACAF nations? Or do you think that you could get like a Japan, Qatar invite? And if they were CONCACAF, yeah, I was going to say Costa Rica, Panama, and Jamaica would probably be my three picks.
Yeah.
But if not,
I would say El Salvador and Honduras can also compete. They're teams that were in the final eight, right? The Ocho.
Yep. Yeah, I guess.
So I wouldn't bring teams from Asia or Africa or anywhere else. I wouldn't do that. I don't think it's needed.
I wouldn't want it to. I just didn't know because like there's been a past of inviting nations like that, but I would love to just keep it CONCACAF CONMEBOL. That's what the partnership needs to
grow these regions, make it more competitive here, let them play, drive money into these regions. You don't need to bring them to. You also have the risk of Japan or an African nation or whatever you bring here, whichever nation, of maybe not caring as much. So I wouldn't do it. And the report said it was US, Canada, Mexico, and 3 CONCACAF nations. That's what the report said.
Beautiful.
Which, if that happens, it's exactly like the 2016 Copa America Centenario, 4 groups of 4, top 2 of each group advance to the quarterfinals, which will be a much better format than we saw in the last Copa America. The last one only had CONMEBOL nations, and they literally did 2 groups of 5 just to eliminate the last team of each group. So it was pretty much play 4 games each team just to knock out Bolivia and Venezuela. That's it.
Yeah, and in the Centenario, Venezuela actually, I believe, topped their group. But yeah, I mean, more than likely there will be a qualifying process. So I just said who I think could qualify, but like those CONCACAF nations will probably have some type of qualifying process for those final 3 spots, and we'll see what it is. But Tack, final question before we go, just to play devil's advocate. I mentioned it a couple times, but do you see any issues of maybe why this partnership, even if this Copa America happens or falls through, why that may happen? Is there any big reasons that it just comes down to maybe money? Just trying to split the pie in a fair, where everyone seems like it's going to be a fair conclusion, or what do you think?
From a soccer perspective, I don't see any issues. I only see positives, right? For both regions. Like I said, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, they get the chance to face teams like US, Mexico, and Canada that are more competitive than a Venezuela, than a Bolivia, than Chile nowadays, and possibly more than Colombia, the way they've been playing. Yeah. So that benefits them from a competitive standpoint. Obviously, Brazil and Argentina probably would want to face some title contenders, France, but that's better for them. It also brings more money to CONMEBOL because you start to get the United States involved, Mexico, Canada. Mexico's soccer economy is massive, and the United States is just a massive economy in general, and Canada as well. So it benefits them financially from a competitive standpoint. And for CONCACAF, it helps grow popularity of the region among the region itself. More Canadians will pay attention, more Americans will pay attention. It's a big event here that's going to get more people involved with soccer and the competitive aspect of it. So I only see benefits from that. Now, the negatives are these 2 confederations that, I hate to say it, but they have a lot of bad politics with it, a lot of corruption, and like you said, like they don't want to split it evenly, right? They want to make sure whoever gets the larger piece of the pie here. That's like the only issue, but that has nothing to do with soccer itself. From a soccer standpoint, I see absolutely no negatives.
Yeah, and honestly, it gets me excited just thinking of this tournament because
There's
it's something
one thing though, Josh, that we didn't mention.
What's that?
We are not going to play World Cup qualifying.
No, we're
Canada,
not.
US, and Mexico. So that I think it's valuable to play the Copa America even in the future with World Cup qualifying. But for this cycle, it is crucial. Otherwise, we're just going to be playing us, right? US, Canada, Mexico friendlies, which they don't fully prepare you. CONCACAF play in CONCACAF competitive games. That's it. This adds something extra. Well, less CONCACAF competitive games. Only the Gold Cup and Nations League.
Yep.
We need this for this cycle. Obviously, later on for long-term plans, it helps to keep it. But for this cycle, it's more crucial than ever.
I would honestly say this tournament alone could be one of the biggest pieces to help us CONCACAF nations prepare for the 2026 World Cup. Mm-hmm. I'm thrilled with it. I really hope it happens. And as always, Tack, I appreciate you giving some time today to come on the channel and discuss it. It is a good, healthy environment now, CONCACAF, and I'm hoping it can continue to grow and we can get prepared for a fun World Cup in our backyard. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check out Tack's channel if you haven't already. I pointed the wrong way. His channel will be in the description. Be sure to drop a like and a sub on your way out, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.